What has happened, everybody? True Evil here. In today's Blue Protocol Star Residence video, we're going to talk about how to beat the new Bone Nightmare raid with a public lobby. And I don't want to talk about how to do this with like a guild with a lot of coordination. What I think is more important is talk about how do you do this with a bunch of random people that you don't trust. Well, you're going to have to change how your strategy is a little bit. So let me just break it down for you. The first thing I want to talk about is going to be how to set up your battle imagines if you're playing with a random party that you find in the public world chat versus a coordinated team. And the biggest thing is going to be if they do not have a lot of Aronas, then you're going to want to make sure you have a Rona equipped even if you're a DPS. And the reason for this is that if, say, 2 DPSs are knocked out before the dimension mechanic, this will cause a wipe. And if wipe happens too many times, then people leave, and it's just going to take forever. So it's actually better to have the Arona, in my opinion, than to do more DPS, because it's really hard to get to the enrage part of Bone. So it's better to be able to do the mechanics than to do DPS. If everyone is just coordinated, you will be able to do it, and in public lobby, there will be a lot of times to do Arona, trust me. And then the other battle imagine I want to talk about is Vino, because Vino is going to be really important if you see that the team can't do the DPS check of the dimension mechanic. So if you don't trust your random partners DPS, equip this bad boy because it will help tremendously to take out the 3 robots. So let's see how that is going to look. Vino is going to be absolutely essential in order to clear this part with random teammates where you do not trust your DPS. So if you see that your healer on your side doesn't have Vino, highly recommend to equip it to make sure that that vulnerability is there so you can win at this video game. So how this guide is going to work is I'm going to explain all the mechanics you need to know for Bone Nightmare and show clips of what those mechanics are going to look like, and then afterwards I'm going to show a full silent playthrough of the raid. So let's get in with those mechanics with the first part, which is everything that happens before the first portal, and you can just not deal with any of these red circles. The healers are going to out heal any damage you take from this, and there is only one thing that can cause a knockout, which is going to be these sheets that are going to spawn under 2 people, and you best believe that someone is going to mess this up. So be ready for your E dodge to make sure that you are ready to get out of those red squares of doom. And if you get them yourselves, be sure to go the correct way to make sure they don't target your allies, because their survivability is absolutely crucial, because every DPS needs to go through the portal if you want to pass that DPS check, especially with randoms. For the portal mechanic, what needs to happen is the tank gets all 3 of the robots grouped together, and then the DPSs have to do a DPS check. There is a couple of more attacks in Nightmare than the hard and the easy versions of this raid, but it's generally the same. And here you want to pop Vino right when all 3 robots are together to make sure that the DPSs can actually do enough damage. If a wipe happens because the tank does not group them all together, be sure on the next run through to help him get all of the aggro together and get the 3 robots over to that side as quickly as possible. Definitely want to make sure to help the tank if they are incompetent. So let's see what this DPS check is, and after you win it, make sure people pick up the shields for the next mechanic, because sometimes randoms don't pick this up. So be sure to put on your helper hat and help them, because they will most likely cause a wipe from not wanting to do this mechanic. So be the one to step up. If you went through the first portal, know that in the second portal you cannot go through it. So groups 1 and 3 generally go through the first and third portal, and group 2 and 4 go through the second and fourth. And if you are able to dish out enough DPS, then they might not need to go into those portals. Finally, the last mechanic that you need to know is the jump rope mechanic. And the most important thing that you need to know that in a public lobby, it is guaranteed every time that this mechanic happens, 3 to 4 members of your party will get KO'd. So make sure there is a Rona ready to go, because the portal will happen very soon afterwards, and you need to make sure that everyone goes through the portal to pass the DPS check. If you haven't figured it out, basically every mechanic means that someone needs to Arona immediately after the mechanic. And the reason this is difficult in public lobbies is there's not going to be a lot of coordination. So what I highly recommend to do is to have the shot caller ask how many Aronas are in the party and label those people as A1, A2, A3, A4. And then whenever you need an Arona, you just call out like A1, A2. And the reason you want to do something like this is because if 3 people pop their Arona at the same time because they didn't know someone else was going to do it, it will cause a wipe most likely, because everyone's Arona is going to be on cooldown. And it's absolutely essential to make sure everyone is up and at 'em. So definitely, if there's one thing you coordinate in this raid, it's going to be Arona. So definitely just wanted to mention that. And basically, if you do all of this correctly, you will win at this video game. So let's see what it looks like to be a winner chicken dinner, as well as make sure you slam that subscribe button, and you better be hitting that notification bell.